My brother, he was playing like with this gun, and he done it so he's dead.
America, 2009, a nation of 250 million guns. Do your children know where you've hidden the guns at your house? Do they play with them when you're not there? And what do your teens really do, even when they know guns are dangerous? Tonight, as 9 million more of us apply to get guns, we bring you a series of experiments, including a police experiment to test whether you can defend yourself in a crisis.
Honestly, like with my airsoft gun, I can shoot the target every time. This is just completely different.
And every gun crisis we see on TV raises those questions. Who got hit? Who survived? Would the average person involved in this crisis have made a difference with a gun? In the past 10 years, 130,000 of us have been killed by guns, from the streets to the schools to the nursing homes.
9 people died as a result of tainted peanut butter crackers, and Congress sprang into action. We've had a waft of mass shootings in this country, and there's been an eerie silence among our political leadership.
In a nation divided about gun control, is there anything we agree on?
If we have law-abiding people who are responsible in exercising their Second Amendment rights of gun ownership, then I think society gets safer instead of more dangerous.
What about the promise to close loopholes after Columbine and Virginia Tech?
I got more than I could even hold.
After all the mass shootings, the most violent month in American history, we ask, would America be safer if even more of us only had a gun?
Tonight on 2020, a Diane Sawyer special with co-anchor David Muir.
Good evening, I'm Diane Sawyer. David Muir will join me later in the hour. We have all seen the news in these past 2 weeks, the unprecedented numbers of Americans killed in gun assaults. But on an average day in America, gunshots kill 80 people. In an average month, 2,500. In a year, some 30,000. We want to say right at the top of the hour, this is not a debate about the right to own a gun in America, or the 250 million rifles, pistols, and assault weapons already on our streets and in our homes. But in the past year alone, at least 9 million new guns have been purchased. And we keep hearing how everyone from pilots to students, nurses, and teachers, everyone thinking about arming themselves for self-defense. Which leads us to our first question. If you decide to arm yourself, can you really be sure that you can defend yourself with a gun? Those familiar scenes on surveillance video. This one, a store clerk confronting 2 intruders. 14 shots are fired. Do you know who is hit, who is not, and why? And what about all those rampages in the past few months? In a mall, in a church, at a home in Pittsburgh where the shooter fires off 98 shots in under 2 minutes. No wonder more and more ordinary people are talking about getting a gun to protect themselves. But police are saying, think about it before you do.
Video games and movies, you know, they glorify gunfights, and they get that warped sense that this is true. This video game is exactly what I can do in real life. That's not reality.
Police investigator Chris Benton, firearms instructor Glenn Dorney, along with the Bethlehem, Pennsylvania Police Department, agree to work with ABC News on an experiment to test the ability of average people without crisis training to react and protect themselves with a gun under stress. It was inspired by a real incident at Northern Illinois University last year when a former student opened fire in a lecture hall, killing 5 other students and wounding 22.
Door just kicks open like a movie. Boom! Shocking blast.
So with that in mind, we came to Muhlenberg College in Pennsylvania and sent out word that police were offering free gun training. From the interested students, we chose 6, with gun experience ranging from none at all to more than 100 hours. The gun, by the way, is real. It's a Glock, but the bullets are not. They're a kind of plastic filled with a kind of paint.
Okay, good. A holster.
The police go over the basics, getting the gun out of the holster, getting the target in sight. And you should know that our basic course is already more hands-on training than almost half the states in the country require to carry a concealed weapon.
Which hit is mine?
Now, it's time to begin our experiment. First up, Joey Dolan, who loves action movies and has spent countless hours firing a gun that shoots plastic pellets called an airsoft gun. Joey thinks he'll be good at deploying a weapon.
Okay, you're the only person in the group that has a weapon.
We tell Joey that he has the gun to defend himself and others, but later in the day.
All right, let's get rolling here, guys.
For now, he's to attend a lecture class on protective gear. He has no idea what will happen here, nor that there are hidden cameras in the lecture hall. We notice he's nervous. He can't seem to keep his hand off the gun.
No. Do you have a gun on you? No. All right. I'll tell you because I'm sitting next to you.
Are you serious?
He also doesn't know that these other students around him are in fact cops or people working for ABC who will replicate the chaos of real people in real crises. The lecturer casually begins talking about protective headgear.
Okay, I cannot stress enough that if you... Told you I'd be back.
Suddenly the room is under attack. The instructor is down. A student hit. Joey struggles to get his gun out, but it's stuck in his shirt. He can't even get it out to aim it.
Stop, Axel, stop, Axel, stop.
Had this event been real, Joey would have been killed in the first 5 seconds. Or there's the chance the bad guy would simply have taken his gun from him.
That was the first shot, and then the second shot was right in the chest.
That so-called armed intruder was our firearms instructor, Glenn Dorney.
Did you ever get your gun out of the holster?
I got it out of the holster and it was stuck in my shirt.
Joey says his endless hours of practice with an airsoft gun meant absolutely nothing.
Honestly, like with my airsoft gun, I can shoot the target every time, dead on. But this is just completely different. Like, it's ridiculous.
Don't get discouraged with these. It takes practice.
And it's not just Joey. Police tell us that even for them, handling a gun in a holster can be tricky if you don't stay in practice. This video is a police officer giving a safety demonstration to some kids at a local school.
I'm the only one in this room professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40. I'm the only one. No more. Is everybody all right?
He literally shoots himself in the foot while placing the gun back in the holster. So how much more difficult is all this for Danielle, a novice who did very well in our basic training?
Pull the helmet on.
Same scenario. She thinks she has the gun for later. And suddenly an armed intruder bursts into the room.
Used to him.
I told you I'd be back.
Danielle has no trouble getting her gun out and shooting.
Actual stop, actual stop.
But here's Danielle's problem. A weapon alone won't save you if your body's in the wrong place. Take a look. When Danielle starts to shoot, she stands up.
Did you get me or something?
Yeah, that's
Where'd you get me?
to show you.
Oh, wow.
She took a deadly hit to the head.
I thought I was in the middle of like a murder scene. Like I literally thought like I was came straight out of a movie.
Okay.
And that's.
Was it realistic?
It was very realistic. Yeah. My heart is still pounding.
Okay.
She's also confused about whether her shot hit the intruder.
I think I hit you in the head.
And you
yeah.
think it was the head?
Wasn't it at the top there? Oh, I got you there.
Nowhere near the head. And it was even worse for Brian, our third student. We have 2 shooters enter the room.
Had it with you.
Brian freezes in his seat, hands on his desk. Police aren't surprised. In seconds, Brian is peppered with bullets, 1 to the head, 1 to the heart, 2 on the shoulder, 1 in the arm.
Like, no one ever gets hit in the movies, obviously. Real life, I got hit like 5-6 times.
What happens is when you get so jacked up that you tend to forget how to do the simple things because your body elevates, your fine motor skills deteriorate, and you can't get that gun out. And you're thinking, oh, there's a gun, I'm getting shot at, you know, and you're not going to be able to do this.
Take a look at the way your own body undermines your decisions, your accuracy with a gun in crisis. Under extreme stress, your blood is actually pulled from your skin toward your muscles in case you need to flee. Your heart pumping 3 to 4 times the normal rate. Your hands have less blood, they're less dexterous, your reaction's delayed.
Okay.
When police show me a video used with real police trainees,
you have just arrived at an unknown trouble call.
My task is to watch the policewoman who's my virtual partner check out a suspicious car and react if there's a need for self-defense. The first time, I don't get near firing, but on the second time, even when I know what's going to happen, I'm 2 seconds late.
The interesting thing is, even the second time around, knowing exactly
knew what was
the
gonna happen.
timing of everything, you still can't get there in time.
Which is why police can spend months and months speeding up their reaction time until it's no more than 1 second, and building muscle memory that overtakes all that racing blood during a crisis.
Rounds coming back at you. You got outside environments, people are screaming, running. You know, it's too much for a normal person who's never been trained to deal with. It's overwhelming.
Overwhelming as at Columbine 10 years ago this month. Real shooters, so much confusion. So back at our experiment, we now turn to the most experienced student in our group, gun enthusiast Chris Lamb, who told us he has hundreds of hours of experience with guns on the range.
Rifles, pistols, revolvers, all the different types of conventional firearms.
If anyone has a right to be confident, it's Chris.
Here, so you're going to have some air going up in there.
Chris takes cover instantly, the right thing to do, but then watch, even he freezes in place, can't get his gun out in time, and is in effect executed at close range.
This would have been a failure, absolute failure.
No wonder police stress. If you want a gun for self-defense, you have to train as they do under stress and without letting up.
Even police officers, through extensive training, if you don't continue with your training, ongoing training, it's a perishable skill. You'll lose it.
How long before you're going to lose it, even at your level of training?
If you go for a month to 2 months without training, you lose it.
I really don't think there was any benefit of me having the gun as opposed to not having it. If anything, it made me more susceptible to being shot.
And by the way, remember that surveillance video we showed you earlier? Even though the store clerk and the intruder fired 14 shots, not one of their shots came close, even at this range. And still ahead, we'll ask what does keep you safe in a gun assault, and more of our experiments with students, and something else that can go terribly wrong.
Next, a father and son show and tell.
How do you like the Uzi?
I like the Uzi.
One of the most terrifying things a parent could see. And now, David Muir.
The numbers tell us every third house in this country has a gun. So if you think your house is safe for your children, what about your neighbors? It was a question we first explored 10 years ago. Parents stunned to see their little children taking aim with the guns they discovered. So 10 years later, we wondered about the older kids. They've witnessed so much of this gun violence. Has anything changed?
All right, Pumpkin, where are we headed today?
Today we're headed to Westfield.
A proud father and his son on a recent trip to the gun range, an American pastime. That documents the ride to Westfield, Massachusetts.
Okay, grab what you want.
The stop to buy safety goggles. And once they get to the range, held from behind, the son gets to fire the Uzi.
How do you like the Uzi?
I like the Uzi.
Next, the AK-47. Moments later, an extraordinary contrast. Another young shooter just 8 years old with his father at that same gun range loses control of the Uzi he was firing, shoots and kills himself. Nearly every other day in America, a child is accidentally shot and killed with a gun.
There was a gun in the closet. There was a bunch of kids downstairs.
It can happen at the gun range, a friend's house, and more often than not, at home. The young voices calling 911.
My brother, he was playing like with his gun, and he's done it, so he's dead.
Teenagers playing one moment, accidentally killing their friend the next.
I got an accidental discharge of a firearm.
This call on a frigid Wisconsin night. Police race to the home. A teenager so distraught over what he's done, he's now considering taking his own life.
No, you're not killing yourself. God damn it! I have a gun now in the background. Stop it this time. You're not killing yourself. Sit down.
Evan Tolsma had just shot and killed his best friend.
I just killed my best friend.
I pulled the trigger and it went off, and when he fell over, I thought he was just playing around with me.
He was hanging out at a friend's house, a friend whose father owned guns, and Evan, not knowing the AK-47 he was holding was loaded, fired the gun. He was sentenced to 6 months behind bars, the judge saying, though, that in reality, a life sentence, that Evan would think of his dead friend every day of his life. And all because he pulled that trigger for fun.
Shoot me!
We've looked closely at younger children before. 10 years ago, our first investigation. Diane Sawyer exploring the temptation of the youngest of children. At school, parents were stunned as they witnessed what their own children did when they found guns amidst the toys.
Wow, a gun! Oh, this is a big heavy gun. Get the shoot. Bam!
And what was even more disturbing was that these children had just been given a lesson in gun safety with help from the NRA's cartoon character, Eddie Eagle.
I'll kill him.
And then there were the parents convinced their children had no idea where they had hidden the guns at home. And 10-year-old Michelle, who while her father watched in complete surprise, took us straight to her parents' bedroom, to the bedside table, the bottom drawer beneath the clothes. There was the gun.
Woo!
It was fully loaded. In the decades since, we've seen Columbine and Virginia Tech, and another 29,000 children and teenagers killed by guns. So 10 years after Diane's first experiment, we wondered if in this era of mass shootings and gun accidents, have we learned from it all? The older children who grew up watching all of this, will they now react differently? We set up again, this time with high school and college-age kids answering an ad to pack up a garage for extra cash. We put 2 firearms in this chest of drawers, a Glock semi-automatic pistol and a Smith & Wesson .357 revolver, both real, but both disabled. And Lateef Dickerson, who runs the New Jersey Firearms Academy, is there to supervise it all.
I'm betting that most of them would not touch the gun. It would bring it to someone's attention that there's a firearm there.
You can see there's just a lot of junk.
Our producers act as the homeowners, greeting the young people who arrive.
Get as much in there.
And in every case, the packing begins as normal. But it does not take long until they start unloading that chest of drawers.
Whoa.
This can't be real.
Take a picture of your phone.
This team looked away when they saw the guns and ammunition and simply dumped it all into a moving box.
Did you just dump the gun right?
She just dumped the gun like right in with everything.
Afterward, they were embarrassed that they had ignored that gun could have gone off.
I feel so terrible.
Are you thinking you should have
More
done
alert. Be more alert.
This pair notices both guns and picks one of them up.
I'm really scared. You just put your prints over.
Right out of the movies, they're concerned about their fingerprints, wiping them off. And then this duo reaches for the guns too.
We're gonna make sure the safe's on. Probably isn't. Wanna go ask him?
They are the first to mention finding the adults. But as his friend goes for help, the other can't help himself, staring for 15 seconds before grabbing for the gun again. And then dropping it.
Sorry, what's up?
And getting away as soon as he hears the homeowner coming. And then this student, so curious, he takes turns holding each gun, playing with them, pointing one right toward his face.
Hello?
Even during his cell phone call, which he cut short.
Can I call you back? Maybe I wasn't so smart about it, but I don't know, nothing bad happened. I mean, it wasn't really loaded, so we don't know.
And look what happens when we add one more element, peer pressure. Our producer posing as another hired student.
You know if it's loaded or anything?
Dude, don't look at it.
We can tell like if there's like a bullet in the chamber, right?
No, you can't. I've taken a gun safety class. You're not supposed to do that.
But our next worker was alone, and when our producer, who's playing the role of that one extra person, joins him,
Can you tell if it's loaded by just by looking inside?
not only does our student hold the gun, he stares straight down the barrel.
Yeah, something there.
Would you have picked up the gun and held it to look to see if it was loaded had Kelsey not asked you to?
Probably not. But didn't shoot him in the face.
And finally, this young man. Already cocking the gun on his own, the addition of a peer takes it far further.
Here, help me load it up.
They even load the gun.
No, yeah, these are blanks. Try it.
Of the 24 teenagers who walked into that garage, only 3 came looking for help. And so many of them picked up the guns, not knowing if they were loaded. Just like 14-year-old Mike, who pulled the trigger when he was only 11, killing the friend standing just a few inches away from him.
He's one of my best friends.
Taken to jail and then dropped off here by a sheriff's car, Mike has been at the Bonnie Brae School for Troubled Boys ever since. But he isn't the only one to pay for that mistake. It was his father's gun, and he too would serve time. 21 states now hold parents responsible for unlocked guns in the home. Before being locked up, Mike's father approached the head of the center
and said, would you please take care of my son while I'm away? And I promised him that we would.
One family's trauma, and they were the survivors.
You know it's been a nightmare for the other family too.
Yeah. I worse for them.
Mike realizes he's the lucky one. His small ragtag marching band from that treatment center, you might have seen them before. They were picked to march at the inauguration.
I have a picture of you looking at the president.
Yeah, that was a good day.
Is there something that you hope the president will do about guns and children in America?
Keep them away from lock them all up.
And how do we do that?
Make sure everyone that owns a gun in the country, somehow, some way, to get a lock for their guns so everyone's safe.
To lock them away.
That's what I'll do if I was president.
Next, there's another little boy we met inauguration night. What does he want to say to the president about guns?
Inauguration night, January 2009. I met a pint-sized school reporter, 10-year-old Damon Weaver, who had a question he wanted to ask the new president of the United States. But he said he'd only whisper it to me. As you can see, when Damon wonders about something, time stands still. So what was his question? Well, for that, he takes us to his hometown, Pahokee, Florida. 6,000 people, 3 stoplights, and an infinity of guns. We give him a cameraman and a producer to work with him.
My name is Damon Weaver, and I live in Pahokee, Florida. There's a lot of love in this town, a lot of pride. By day, it's safe for me to play outside. But at night, it's a different story. Sometimes it's like the Wild West out here. So I know to take off at the sound of gunfire, like the time I saw shooting in the park. They were fighting over there, and the guns were shooting over there. Bow, bow, bow. So then I started to run over here. That's why it's not safe to be outside at night, because the gunshot happened at night. I don't like to see people get killed because you can be the one that get killed that day.
We go to Damon's school, where 60% of the elementary school kids know someone who's been shot. 40% have witnessed a shooting.
It's my friend Jatavius. We know each other since kindergarten. 2 years ago, his father got shot and killed, so I interviewed him and his grandmother about the murder. My first question is, how did it affect your life?
It, how my heart goes ever since he died. You can say it. It upsets you to talk about it. Wow.
It's been more than 2 years. No one's been arrested for the murder of Jatavius' dad.
I'm Damon Weaver, and I'm here to see Lieutenant Mike Wallace. Hello, sir. I'm Damon
How
Weaver.
are you?
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, too. Mike Wallace is a lieutenant in the Violent Crimes Unit. What kind of gun was Jatavius' dad shot with?
The person that shot Jatavius' dad used a shotgun. He got shot a couple times, actually. We know who killed his father. People saw who shot him, because they told us. We saw who did it, but they won't tell us. What we need is people that will go to court. People that will hold their hand up and say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I saw this guy shoot that guy.
Why are they afraid?
The gang members, they scare people.
This man, Terry, showed me where he had been shot. Did you tell the police?
No.
Did you report about the shooting to the police?
No.
Did you tell the police?
No. Real life, baby. This how that thing go. Big bullets and everything.
There are few jobs in Pahokee, but any kind of gun.
It seems that you can get just about anything here.
You can say Glock 40s, 9mm, 38, 25, 357,
automatic,
223, SKs,
223, AK,
any kind of semi-automatic, any kind you could possibly name, except for a missile or a grenade.
And the adults use little kids called jitterbugs to buy the guns.
But like if I go down with some jitterbugs, some younger people from 15 to 16, go to them, hey man, here go you, $60, I need a piece.
Damon's 14-year-old brother Marcus has already been approached by gangs.
We are 3 brothers living in this little room. It's not that big, but it keeps us close. I want to be a journalist, and a football player, and a pilot, and a person who trains whales, and president, and a senator. That's it. And a commissioner.
I want to be a football player. And if that doesn't work, I'll be a lawyer or a doctor.
I worry about Marcus. I worry about me and my family. I worry about what's happening to my community.
We have to keep our grades up, think positive, stay out of trouble, and work hard and shoot for your dreams.
That's why I'm telling you this story, my town story, so more people don't die.
And we end with Damon's question for the president. He said he'd keep it short this time. A question for a man who fills a little boy with so much hope.
President Obama, what can you do to help out Pokey?
Next, how many guns can one young man buy with $5,000 and just 1 hour?
I just went up, gave him cash. He's like, cash is all you need.
No questions asked, because it's legal. The 3 things that can save you during a gun attack, and one of them you probably have in your pocket right now. When If I Only Had a Gun returns, after this from our ABC stations.
In the coming days, we mark the 2-year anniversary of the massacre at Virginia Tech. There were so many promises afterward to clean up the guns. So we wanted to know, did authorities keep those promises? Is it any harder to buy a gun? A sun-filled Saturday morning, and Omar Samaha stands in this parking lot in Richmond, Virginia. The number of cars quickly growing, along with the line to get in. Omar is at a gun show, the last place he ever thought he'd be. 2 years ago, his sister Rima was shot and killed by a gunman, one of 32 victims at Virginia Tech. Right after the massacre, authorities, including Virginia's own governor, urged lawmakers to close what's called the gun show loophole, where customers can buy guns from private sellers, no background check, no questions asked, and no record of where those guns go next. For more than a year, ABC News has followed Omar in his quest to make sure authorities keep their word. We give Omar 1 hour and $5,000 in cash. What could he buy? And what questions would be asked? He gets in line, and already he's approached by a seller. Omar buys a gun. So this is what?
This is a Glock.
So you bought this before you even got in the show?
Yeah, he was just sitting right outside the door. Went up to him, how much you want for it? 450 bucks, here's the cash, thanks. See you later, that was it.
It was a purchase that sent chills. A Glock handgun, the same kind of gun used to kill his sister Rima at Virginia Tech.
This is the kind of weapon right here.
And they didn't ask you anything about criminal background?
Nothing. He didn't even really say a word to me. He just took the money and that was it.
What's going through your mind to know how easy it was to get the same kind of weapon?
To be honest with you, I'm blocking out images that I have going through my head right now. I don't want to think about how gruesome it was and how somebody used this type of weapon on my sister and so many other innocent people.
The Virginia Tech gunman bought his weapon at a gun store where federally mandated background checks are required in this country. His check failed to uncover his history of mental illness, a breakdown in the system. Right away, authorities promised to fix that, and they were urged to fix this, the gun show loophole, considered even more glaring, where anyone can get a gun.
The gun show's only been open for about a half an hour, a long line, and Omar is now inside.
Omar makes his way down the aisles, passing tables covered with guns. The father pushing a stroller. For many American families, this is just a simple weekend outing. And then Omar emerges, carrying, in this case, a semi-automatic assault weapon. And what did they ask?
Nothing. Nothing. I just went up, gave him cash. He's like, cash is all you need.
The hour continues, his hands full of weapons, nothing asked of him. Until his next purchase, when Omar walks to his car with shotguns slung over his shoulder.
What did he ask you for?
He wanted to see my license, just to see that I was a Virginia resident. That's it.
But when Omar resisted, the seller backs off, not wanting to lose a sale.
What did he do?
And he was like, give me $100 more, and I'll let you go. I'll take the risk.
And you got the gun?
I got 2 guns for $600 without any identification shown.
And then one final trip inside. 3 more guns, including an M16 lookalike.
We gave you about an hour.
Yeah.
And you've got a trunk load.
Got a trunk load. We could have had a lot more. I mean, I could sell these to someone right now if I wanted to.
In fact, he was given the chance. In the middle of our conversation, this man approaches Omar, thinking Omar is a seller, with all those newly bought guns right in his trunk.
You got 22s?
22s? No.
No. What, do you want to buy or something?
Yeah, he's trying to buy.
What do you think people don't realize about the ease in which you just bought 10 guns?
That anybody can do it, and it's for real. It's that easy.
It is also very common. 33 states have these gun show loopholes. In fact, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms says that in their investigation, private sellers at gun shows are a major source of crime guns. But the exact numbers are hard to come by because they again point out there is no record of where these guns go once they're bought. In the 2 years since his sister's death, Omar has fought to close the loophole. It's come up twice now before Virginia lawmakers, and twice they have voted against closing it. Among them, the lawmaker whose own district includes Virginia Tech. So we called the state senator.
We were just hoping to talk to him about the latest with the gun show loophole, where that stands.
He did not return our calls. So we then called the NRA to ask why they don't support closing the loophole, and they declined to be interviewed.
When the legislature said no to closing that loophole,
It really made me wonder what kind of people we have making our laws.
Because there is still no law to prevent this.
you can't even hold on to all that you got in an hour's time.
Right. I got more than I could even hold.
And watching it all at that gun show, former ATF agent Jerry Nunziata.
These sellers did what they're legally able to do.
Exactly. There was nothing illegal about their transactions.
They don't have to ask about a criminal check?
Nothing. And nothing Omar did was wrong. He bought a gun off a guy. No questions asked.
Now nearly 2 years without Rima, what keeps Omar going are the last images he has of his sister, dancing on that stage at Virginia Tech, the day before she was killed.
I think I'm doing something she would do.
Why are our legislators allowing felons to buy guns?
I think that she'd be proud of me and she would tell me to keep going. And I just wish I could just, see her dance again. And I would take her home with me if I could.
And a question we've all had since seeing your report is, what did Omar and ABC do with all the guns?
The armful of guns. He took them straight to the Richmond Police Department where he turned them in. And tonight we've learned that it's not only Omar asking for change, the nation's mayors are now asking that something be done about the assault weapons, about all the guns, Diane.
Well, still ahead, more of my experiment and the danger of accidentally hitting a friend.
Scenes from the past 6 months of gun rampages in America.
911, what's your emergency?
There is someone with a gun shooting people involved.
A 19-year-old shooting in a mall at Christmas time. That shooting at a nursing home.
Up his shoe and I heard gunshots.
At a Unitarian church.
Something with a shotgun just started shooting people in our sanctuary.
Are there any lessons to be learned here about self-defense and survival? We consulted a number of experts who say, of course, if you can, get away. Remember Virginia Tech, many students survived after they broke a window and jumped to the ground. Even if you're cornered by a gunman in a parking lot, expert J.J. Bittenbinder says, do the percentages. try to run.
Out of 100 times, how many times do you think he would shoot at her? I'll say 50%. And out of the 50...
In his lectures, Bittenbinder says of the 50% who would shoot, only a portion of those shots would hit, and a smaller fraction be fatal.
Now we're talking about 12 and a half times. 12 and a half times out of 100.
He grabs that gun.
Another safety expert, Bill Stanton, says, don't make panicky moves. Remember that receptionist in Binghamton, New York, who played dead after being shot, crawling under a desk and calling 911 for help.
Shots fired.
Sometimes the right thing to do is just do nothing. Hide. Play dead. You don't know, everybody's not Rambo.
And all the experts say, remember, an available cell phone is a valuable weapon for saving the lives of those around you. Which takes us back to our experiment with guns. Of course, guns have been used to run off intruders, as you see on the internet. But police have another warning for ordinary citizens. They say, think about the risk to friends and family. You don't see when your mind is in the grip of tunnel vision.
You come out and you see a gun pointed in your face, what are you going to look at? You look right at the gun because it started coming at you.
In crises, your brain automatically narrows your field of vision so that your eyes can concentrate on the object of danger. Police have to train and retrain their brains over months to take in the periphery so they can make calculations about who's a friend, who's an enemy before they decide to shoot. Jason Cote is one of the most experienced students in our experiment.
I've had it!
One intruder comes through the door, but a few feet away from Jason, we plant another gunman in his peripheral vision. Like our other students, Jason makes mistakes, failing to take cover. And though he hits the intruder, it's not before he takes a hit in the chest.
And even the range training you had, did it prepare you for this?
No, not at all. I mean, it prepared me to shoot a gun, but it didn't prepare me to a moving target or getting shot back at me. The thing was stationary as a piece of paper.
But here's the new problem. Tunnel vision meant that Jason couldn't compute whether that second person in the corner of his eye was shooting at him or a friend trying to give him help.
Once I was with my stance and I was aiming on you, like everything else kind of just like, couldn't really see. It was just a white blur basically. But
Did you know there was another shooter over here?
I saw that one first, yeah. When you fired, the first thing I saw was them pull and fire at you, so I figured they were on my side.
Because actually, you don't realize, but he was shooting at other students over here.
Okay.
He was my counterpart.
Okay.
So technically, he was a threat to you as well.
Tunnel vision was also a problem for our last student, Ashley Malik, who's had experience with guns. She's good at aiming at fixed targets and holds a black belt in martial arts.
Instructor at your next class now, something's got to happen here.
Said I was sick of you.
And when the intruder bursts in on Ashley, she does not fumble. She sets her sights, though she too fails to take sufficient cover. 15 shots are blasted. She and the gunman battle it out. Her accuracy, out of the 5 shots she fires, 2 hit the blackboard, 2 hit the floor. 1?
I see I hit your arm a little bit.
That's really a grazing wound. Let's face it, if you're carrying a gun, you're not aiming to wound somebody like you see on TV in the old days. You're aiming to hit somebody to incapacitate them. You want to end that threat immediately.
1.
And while Ashley was firing at the intruder, she took 6 shots to the center of her body, including 1 to her abdomen.
Who do you think won? Let's see.
You.
Where do you think you'd be right now?
Probably on the floor. Hopefully in an ambulance.
But there's something else happening in the room. We'll show it in slow motion. Our pretend students, in fact, police officers and people working with ABC, run through the room as people tend to do in chaos in all directions. Ashley comes within inches of hitting one of her fellow students.
You know if you hit anybody else?
Oh, I don't think I did. I didn't even think to like worry about them running in front of you.
It happens all too often. There was the real-life incident when a man at home got his gun, heard a sound, went to investigate an intruder. When he saw something move, he shot. It was his wife. She is dead. In this surveillance video, a hotel clerk fires at an intruder who is now running away. But his bullet flies just inches past a baby's head. And we all know how often even police hit innocent bystanders. And remember, you pay the legal price even for a tragic accident.
One stray bullet that misses and hits a bystander, you're responsible for it.
You're legally responsible.
Absolutely.
And a recap now of how our students did.
0. I'm dead.
Half of them couldn't get the gun out, including the student with the most training. Those who did get it out couldn't shoot fast enough or accurately enough to save themselves. And there was the constant danger they would kill a friend or innocent bystander. Police say all lessons they hope you'll remember the next time you see a tragedy unfold on TV. And think, if I only had a gun.
And by the way, if you're wondering where are all the studies about the effectiveness of guns used by ordinary Americans for self-defense, well, keep searching. We could not find one reliable study, and the ones we found were contradictory.
And the one thing we do know, though, Diane, is that the CDC says over a 10-year period, another 60,000 kids and young people have died from a gun.
David and I thank you for joining us. And we'll take a break. When we come back, I want to tell you about someone very close to us. And we want to take a moment now to remember someone beloved here at ABC, our colleague, senior producer Bob Lang, who died this week of a heart attack. For more than 20 years, he was our graveled voice of reason, our quiet bedrock, our confidant, our guide. We send love to his family, and we will wish for him here every single day. For all of us at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
Easter weekend.
You are the chosen one.
An ABC television event.
Moses!
Share this extraordinary masterpiece with your entire family.
Behold his mighty hand!
The 10 Commandments, Saturday, 7/6 Central on ABC.